We'll turn back to our top story now, and that's the Ukrainian military taking responsibility for a barrage of missile strikes on a building that was apparently being used as a barracks for Russian conscripts in Makiivka in the occupied region of Donetsk. While Moscow says that 63 of its soldiers were killed, Kyiv, for its part, says that the death toll is in the hundreds. For more, our senior correspondent, Norris Trent, joins me now on set. Good morning, Catherine.
Hi, Erin.
So what more do we know about these strikes then?
So more information coming out in drips and drops on this bombing in Makiivka in the early hours of New Year's Day. Even the Russian state is admitting that it says 63 of its soldiers were killed. Now, you know, pro-Russian bloggers online, even they're saying that it's likely to be much higher than that, the death toll. But it's notable because this is a rare disclosure of casualties and casualty figures by the Russian authorities. It took place in that town that you can see on the map of Makiivka, which is in part of Russian-occupied Donetsk province, near the city of Donetsk itself. And the Ukrainian army initially saying that perhaps 400 Russian soldiers were killed there. They're also saying that 10 units of Russian military equipment were destroyed. So a very significant strike indeed. And if you look at the images which have been coming out, filmed by mobile phone on social media, but geolocated to the area, look at the destruction there. It's clearly a huge blast. The Russian authorities say that 4 HIMARS missiles supplied by the US caused the damage, but there's a lot of talk that there weren't any soldiers in this building, which is reported to be a civilian building, a former vocational school, where conscripts, it said, were being housed in large number. But also there's reports that there was ammunition stocks either in the building, in the basement, or in very close proximity, which is one of the reasons this blast is so huge. And the building there has been completely leveled in those pictures. Now, a lot of military bloggers, pro-war bloggers in Russia have been vehement in criticism of authorities over that, asking how so many people were killed. Were there problems with operational security and things like soldiers using mobile phones? Were they in the same place as ammunition, in which case that would be incredibly dangerous? So a lot of criticism coming out about how this could have been allowed to happen from pro-war figures in Russia, which makes this again notable.
Meanwhile, Catherine, elsewhere in Ukraine, fierce fighting continues in the eastern town of Bakhmut. What else can you tell us about that?
Yeah, quite a lot of activity on that eastern front there. Bakhmut has been at the centre of fierce fighting for months now, and that's not letting up. If we take a look at this map, the areas in red occupied by Russian or pro-Russian troops, the areas in blue that have been retaken by the Ukrainian army. So you see there Bakhmut there in the Donbass in the east of the country, and Soledar just north of that. Very fierce fighting indeed. Now the Ukrainian forces say they are holding, and the UK Ministry of Defence in their assessment says that seems to be the case as well. Very heavy fighting there, with some saying 20,000 rounds of ammunition being fired down on Bakhmut per day. A little further north in the Luhansk region, Luhansk Oblast, you see those towns there, Kremina and Svatove. There's significant activity around those locations too, specifically to try and retake a highway running from north to south, linking those 2 locations, which is a key supply route. This road, the P66 route, which is basically Russia's supply route in to bring in fresh ammunition, fresh supplies of fighters and men. So if the Ukrainians were able to take that back, that would be a very big deal indeed for them. The governor of the Luhansk region says that Ukrainian forces have managed to gain in recent days 2.5 kilometers of ground. That might not sound like much, but in Donbass terms, that is a lot, because there have been moves of a few meters or so. So 2.5 kilometers would be significant.
Catherine, it's just the start of 2023. Ukrainians obviously impatient to see this war end. Are there any signs of any changes anytime soon?
Well, it doesn't seem likely that we're going to get the huge sweeping advances that we saw giving us those blue areas on that map in Kharkiv province and the Kherson province anytime soon. There could be small changes, though. The UK Ministry of Defence, in their latest intelligence assessment, say they think it's unlikely that the Russians will be able to break through Bakhmut in coming weeks, that Ukraine has been successfully pouring in reinforcement there. So even though it remains very deadly and very difficult, they don't see a Russian breakthrough around Bakhmut. In the south of the country, things are pretty static as well, because the Russian troops pulled back to the other side of the Dnieper River down in the south there, just if you can see. And so that makes it a little easier for them to defend. And there's been heavy shelling across that river. There are initial reports still to confirm that Ukrainian forces have perhaps taken control of an island there in the middle of the Dnieper River, which is several kilometers wide in the south there of the country, because they have been trying to cross the river, and that's very difficult in military terms to make such an amphibious crossing with the Russian army, Russian fighters just opposite firing at you. But if they have made ground there, that would be significant, and we'll have to see then if they can push on further from there. But of course, weather conditions are still very difficult in Ukraine, making it difficult to make progress, and perhaps that won't come until the ground is more solid again, starting from February onwards.
Catherine Norris, Trent, thank you very much.
Thank you.